What made Skyrim so great? Now, if you ask 100 different people that question, you're probably going to get 100 different answers. And that's fine because everybody likes games for various different reasons. But I think what everybody can agree on is Skyrim is probably one of the greatest games of all time. But why is it so great? I mean, it's just an RPG game set in a fantastical world of mountains and dragons and Draugr and vampires. I mean, obviously there's much more to that, and if you play the game, you understand that. But I really wanted to figure out why people still enjoy this game and how it stood the test of time and how the hell it's come out with 6 different versions of the game. Now, first off, I do need to address the elephant in the room. Bethesda isn't the same now as it was back when Skyrim came out. If you look at the track record of Bethesda recently with the releases of Fallout 76 and Starfield, they have made some mistakes along the way, to say the least. Everybody knows that Bethesda games come out super buggy, and I feel like that's part of like the allure of them. But Fallout 76 and Starfield kind of had that and then some. So the court of public opinion for Bethesda nowadays isn't what it used to be. And if you think about it, it's kind of their own fault because they cursed themselves in a way. They broke the mold of what a normal RPG is when they released Skyrim, and they haven't been able to really capture that same aura since. Back to the game at hand though. So Skyrim came out in 2011, and I remember playing this game when it first came out on the Xbox 360, and my mind was just blown. Obviously, if you look at the graphics now compared to then, back then they were amazing. Now, if you play just vanilla Skyrim, they leave a lot to be desired, but that's not its fault at all. I mean, that's just the advancement in technology. But honestly, graphics aside, the one thing that carries this game along most of the way, I would say, is the story. Bethesda is great at creating stories, and Skyrim's story is probably one of the best out there. Not only is the main story great, but hell, all of the side missions and the side quests for the different factions, those are great stories in their own right. And there's also the fact that they took time out of the development cycle to create a unique language for the dragons and the Dovahkiin to use. Now, that doesn't seem super crazy nowadays, but back in 2011, that was a pretty big deal. And I feel like gamers just really appreciate things like that. When developers go out of the way to create unique aspects of a game, that definitely goes a long way. And not only did they put time and effort into creating a beautiful story, they created a beautiful world to go along with it. I mean, just look at Skyrim and all the different locations that it has. You have the huge high mountains like in High Hrothgar or around Winterhold and Dawnstar, and you have the amazing lush autumn landscapes down in Riften. Then you have like the mountainous kind of barren portions of the world such as Markarth. I mean, putting in effort like that to create a world to go along with the story is just another reason why the game is so loved. We also can't really glaze over the fact that Bethesda put out probably one of the best DLC packs that I've ever played personally, with Dragonborn and Dawnguard. And then Hearthfire was on there as well. It wasn't as great, but it did add some pretty cool little house building aspects that I feel like people enjoyed as well. But I think the biggest reason as to why Skyrim is still played 13 years after its release date through the multiple versions is the fact that the modding community is so huge. If you look at the Nexus page and see how many mods are on there for this game, it's mind-boggling. Not only that, you have all the mods that are just on the normal creation club within the game itself. I used some light mods on my gameplay here to get some of this footage, and it was very enjoyable. I haven't really had any experience with modding. I mean, I did on the PlayStation when they added the limited mods there, but not really on PC. And I just added a few overhaul things like a Serrano overhaul and some of the visual stuff. I see why this game is still so enjoyable. If you're adding on mods that completely overhaul like the battle mechanics, the leveling up mechanics, things like that, the visuals, it's like a whole new game. But it's important to realize that modding is still huge for this game because Bethesda gave the modders such a good backbone to build off of. I mean, look at Starfield. People stopped building mods for that one because they said it was too boring, and I'm not making that up either. I have the proof of it right here. With how much I love vanilla Skyrim, I'm all about it now after the patches anyways, before everybody knows that the game could be unplayable at times. But even though I love the game so much in its vanilla form, I don't think that it would be as successful as it is without the modding community. That might be a hot take. I'm not 100% certain if people believe me or agree with me on that one, but the mods are what carry this game into 2024. There's just, even with the great story mode and the fantastic visuals for the time, there's just not enough meat on the bone to make the game last this long without the modding community. I mean, there's mods that add completely different quest lines, completely different starts to the game. If you've played it, you know what I'm talking about. And I feel like Bethesda kind of got a big head about this. I'm not sure if they can see how many players are playing on console or how many people are downloading on console, but I'm pretty sure they can see how many people play on Steam, like the concurrent gamers. And I feel like they've probably seen some of these numbers that, hey, people are still playing this game so far down, the line that they felt like they could get away with adding 6 different versions of the game. You had regular Skyrim, you had Legendary Edition, you had Special Edition, the VR editions, and then Anniversary Edition, which essentially took some of the most famous mods from people and decided to add them into the normal game and just called it the Anniversary Edition. So I think they got kind of full of themselves, and it's honestly kind of shown in the most recent releases. And I have my concerns as to whether Bethesda can actually create another masterpiece like Skyrim. With the last few releases, they haven't instilled confidence in me, and with the Elder Scrolls 6 on the distant horizon, I just really hope they don't screw the pooch and put out something else like Starfield. I mean, I played it. It wasn't too bad, but it didn't, give me the excitement that Skyrim did, or even Fallout 4 for that matter. Part of the reason now is that the engine that they're creating everything on is kind of outdated. I mean, if you look at Starfield, it kind of just looks like a little bit more polished engine that Skyrim was created on. And it's 2024, and hell, it's probably going to be 2026 by the time the Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. And I just really, really, really hope that they put in the effort to update that a little bit, because without that, I'm not sure if it's going to be as good. Now back to what made Skyrim so great. I believe it was kind of the perfect storm of things. You had this great game that was created by Bethesda with an awesome backbone, great vanilla story, great vanilla world that was created, and then the modders decided, hey, let's take this great game and make it even better. And with the ability to mod the storylines, to mod the companions, the visuals, all of that put together created a perfect storm. And that's why people are still playing this game 13 years on, and why I believe it'll still be great until hopefully the next rendition of the Elder Scrolls games comes out and people can move on, because Bethesda is going to create a great game like they did with Skyrim with Elder Scrolls 6, and then everybody's going to be happy. Is that going to happen? I don't know. I hope that's what happens, but we're just going to have to wait and see. Now, as for you guys, I appreciate you watching my video and giving my opinions. If you liked the video, please, please, please hit that little thumbs up button. Also share with your friends, get them in on the conversation about Bethesda and Skyrim and why it's so great. And if you guys like the video, don't forget to subscribe. It honestly helps the channel grow, and I would appreciate it very, very much. Until next time, everyone.